And joining us now from Los Angeles is Arash Aramesh, a national security analyst at Stanford Law School. Arash, welcome. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Give me your reaction to what you saw today from Russia.
It's a surprise move. It's good news if we look at it that way, but I'm concerned why the Russians have come out and made this offer today, a day before the president is set to address the nation, and the world for that matter. The president made it clear months ago where his red line was, and he made it very clear 2 weeks ago that he was set to punish the regime in Damascus for use of chemical weapons. Last week, the Russians had all the time they needed in St. Petersburg to talk to the president and his team, and apparently some talks went on in St. Petersburg. But the move today, right before the president is set to address the nation, is surprising. Again, if Bashar Assad is willing to put all his chemical weapons under international inspections,
right,
and allows inspectors to go in and secure and finally destroy these weapons, that is great news for everybody.
Yeah, but Arash, I mean, do you really think the Secretary of State made an off-the-cuff remark that the Russians just picked up on?
Secretary Kerry today was very clear in his remarks, trying to deliver the message of the administration. Again, the president and his team have had a very tough uphill battle to fight, especially when it comes down to getting the Congress on their side, whether it's a Democratic majority Senate or the Republican-led House.
But was he really pushing? Was he really pushing this proposal, or was he just throwing out an idea?
I'm not sure if Secretary Kerry was talking about specific details, but Sergei Lavrov seized the moment, and it seems that Secretary Kerry went along with it. And again, this is a good, positive development, regardless of whether this was just an accidental offer or whether this was something they had planned on before. If, in fact, the Syrian regime is willing to allow inspectors in and follow through in good faith with inspections and finally securing and destroying these chemical weapons, they will save themselves and the rest of the world a lot of headache.
The United Nations has been through this before with inspectors, once before in Iraq. So what makes this different?
And that's why a lot of people are very skeptical about this. First of all, Syria is a war zone. How are we going to send in inspectors, guarantee their safety, and send them to pretty much combat zones to secure these weapons? In places where the Syrian regime still has pretty good control, a lot of these weapons are housed and based on military bases. Is the regime going to let inspectors to come in, secure and inspect inch by inch of these military facilities that are very sensitive to the regime? Again, as an idea, it sounds great. But when you talk about the nuts and bolts of what has to be done on the ground to make sure that the world and the international community is satisfied with full weapons inspections, a lot of people are very skeptical.
Yeah. Well, when I hear you say that, it sounds like you think it's very unlikely.
It is unlikely, but it's not impossible. At this point, the government of President Bashar al-Assad really feels the pinch. Wesley Clark, General Wesley Clark, the former Supreme Commander of NATO, said something very interesting earlier today, and he said this is diplomacy backed by the threat of force. And that is very true. Had it not been for President Obama's threat of force, it would have been very unlikely for the Russians or for the Syrians to come forth with this plan and accept this plan. Is it unlikely? Probably. Is it impossible? I'm not sure. But let it give a little more time. Let's exhaust all options and see what happens. Again, the president faces an uphill battle in Congress anyway. So if we can manage to do this and to get this out of the way without a political defeat in the House and the Senate, more power to the president.
Arash Aramesh is a national security analyst at Stanford Law School. He's out in California for us tonight. Thanks very much. Good to talk with you. Well, according to the latest Pew Research Center poll, more